every family begins with hope. We imagine that the people closest to us will also be the people who understand us the most, support us in our darkest moments, and celebrate our happiest ones. Yet for many people, the deepest emotional wounds do not come from strangers. They come from those they love the most. Misunderstandings, criticism, controlling behavior, broken trust, jealousy, and unresolved conflicts can make family life feel like a constant emotional battlefield. If you have ever wondered why relationships within a family can be so painful, despite the bond you share, you are not alone. The Buddha did not teach that spiritual practice would remove difficult people from our lives. Instead, he offered something far more valuable. He showed us how to meet difficult people without allowing them to disturb the peace of our own minds. Today, we will explore how Buddhist wisdom transforms family relationships, not by changing others first, but by changing the way we see, understand, and respond to them. Along the way, we will discover that our greatest spiritual teachers are often not the monks in monasteries, but the very people who test our patience every single day. Living with difficult family members is one of the greatest challenges many people face. We can choose our friends, our profession, or even where we live, but family relationships often become part of the foundation of our lives long before we understand ourselves. The Heart Sutra and the Buddha's teachings do not promise that every relationship will become peaceful. Instead, they teach us how to remain peaceful even when relationships are not. The true measure of our practice is not found when everyone agrees with us, but when we encounter criticism, misunderstanding, or conflict without losing the clarity of our own heart. Imagine a mountain standing beneath changing skies. Some days it is bathed in golden sunlight. On other days, fierce storms surround it. The mountain does not chase the sunshine or resist the rain. It remains rooted because its stability comes from deep within, not from the weather above. In the same way, many of us unknowingly allow the emotional weather of our family members to determine our own state of mind. If they are angry, we become angry. If they criticize us, we question our worth. If they withdraw their affection, we feel abandoned. Buddhist practice teaches us to become like the mountain, grounded in wisdom rather than constantly reacting to passing emotional storms. One of the greatest sources of suffering within families is expectation. We expect parents to understand us, siblings to support us, spouses to appreciate us, and children to follow our wishes. These expectations often remain unspoken, yet they quietly shape every interaction. When reality does not match our expectations, disappointment grows into resentment. The Buddha repeatedly pointed out that attachment is not limited to possessions. We become attached to ideas of how people should behave, and when those ideas are challenged, suffering naturally follows. This does not mean we should stop loving our family. Love without attachment is not coldness. It is the ability to care deeply while recognizing that each person walks according to their own causes and conditions. Every family member carries invisible burdens shaped by childhood, fears, habits, beliefs, and countless experiences. Their words often reveal more about their own inner struggles than about us. Recognizing this does not excuse harmful behavior, but it softens the tendency to take every hurt personally. Consider a river flowing around large rocks. The river does not argue with the rocks or demand they move. Instead, it continues flowing, finding another path while maintaining its own nature. Wisdom works in much the same way. When a family member is stubborn, controlling, or constantly critical, we often exhaust ourselves trying to change them. Yet years may pass with very little change. Buddhist wisdom asks a different question. Instead of asking how to change the other person, ask how to keep your own heart flowing freely despite the obstacle before you. Many conflicts arise because we believe every criticism deserves a response. Someone says something hurtful, and immediately the mind begins preparing a defense. Before long, both people are speaking not to understand each other, but to protect their own pride. The Buddha often remains silent when speech would only increase confusion. Silence, when born from wisdom rather than fear, can sometimes become the most compassionate response. Not every invitation to argue deserves acceptance. At the same time, Buddhism does not teach passive submission. Compassion should never be confused with allowing abuse. If someone repeatedly insults, manipulates, or harms us, Establishing healthy boundaries can itself become an act of compassion. Boundaries are not walls built from hatred, they are fences built from wisdom. Just as a gardener places a fence around young plants so they can grow without being destroyed, healthy boundaries protect the mind from unnecessary harm while allowing goodwill to remain intact. Another common mistake is believing that if we become spiritually mature, difficult people will suddenly treat us differently. This expectation often leads to disappointment. Spiritual practice transforms our own heart. It does not guarantee immediate transformation in others. A lotus blooms beautifully, even if the muddy pond remains muddy. Its beauty comes not from changing the water, but from growing beyond its conditions. Likewise, our peace does not depend upon every family member becoming kind or understanding. Family relationships also reveal our deepest attachments because those closest to us know exactly where our emotional vulnerabilities lie. A stranger's criticism may be forgotten in minutes, but a parent's harsh words can echo for decades. This is why family becomes such a profound field of practice. Every difficult interaction reveals another attachment waiting to be understood. Instead of seeing conflict only as a problem, we can begin seeing it as a teacher, exposing hidden places where wisdom has not yet fully matured. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with stones while climbing a long hill. Every argument, every old resentment, every remembered insult becomes another stone added to the load. Many people spend decades carrying this invisible weight, wondering why life feels exhausting. Forgiveness is not pretending the stones never existed. It is choosing, one by one, to place them on the ground. The climb itself does not disappear, but it becomes much lighter when we stop carrying yesterday's burdens into today's journey. Sometimes compassion also means accepting that certain relationships will never become what we hoped they would be. This acceptance is painful because it asks us to release cherished dreams. We may wish for approval that never comes, affection that is never expressed, or reconciliation that never happens. Clinging to these hopes indefinitely often prolongs suffering. Acceptance is not giving up on love. It is letting reality become reality, instead of constantly fighting against it. The Buddha encouraged us to examine our own minds before judging others. When someone speaks harshly, ask yourself, what is arising in me right now? Is it anger, pride, fear? The difficult family member becomes a mirror, reflecting parts of ourselves we might otherwise overlook. Every uncomfortable interaction becomes an opportunity to cultivate patience, mindfulness, compassion, and equanimity. In this way, even the most challenging relationships become part of the path rather than obstacles to it. Ultimately, the goal is not to create a perfect family. Such a family has never existed. The goal is to cultivate a heart that remains kind without becoming weak, wise without becoming distant, and compassionate without losing discernment. When we stop expecting others to create our peace, we discover that peace has always been an inner possibility. Family members may continue to change according to their own karma, habits, and understanding, but our own heart no longer rises and falls with every word they speak. That freedom is one of the most profound gifts the Buddha's teachings can offer. Living with difficult family members is not a sign that you have failed in your practice. In many ways, it is the practice. Every uncomfortable conversation invites patience. Every misunderstanding invites wisdom. Every moment of emotional pain asks whether we will respond from habit or from awareness. The path of the Buddha is not walked only during meditation. It is walked around the dinner table, during difficult phone calls, in moments of silence after harsh words, and in the quiet decision to let compassion guide us instead of resentment. In our next reflection, we will explore another challenge that touches nearly everyone at some point in life: overthinking. Why does the mind replay conversations, imagine worst-case scenarios, and create endless stories that steal our peace? More importantly, how can Buddhist wisdom free us from this exhausting cycle? Until then, may you remember that true strength is not found in changing those around you, but in cultivating a heart that remains steady, compassionate, and free, regardless of the conditions of the world.